Well, students, today we are to discuss about construction of class interval and the process of determination of the size of class interval during the time of tabulation of data. Friends, the process of tabulation of data is a very simple process with the help of which we can statistically get the meaning of the data so much well, which we collect for different purposes. Let us start UCD class today. To determine the construction of class interval, the data is divided into certain classes, and this is the preliminary concept or preliminary function which is to be performed well during the time of tabulation of data for getting proper meaning. The size of a class interval requires the total number of values given in a distribution of data. You see, this is an example how we have determined the class intervals. Here it is 100 and 104. Next one is 95 to 99, 90 to 94, 85 to 89, 80 to 84 and 75 to 79, like this. Then after what will be 70 to 74, then sport 65 to 69, like this. We are to determine the class interval according to the total numbers. On the 100 and 100 to 104 means suppose we have a bundle of data or club of data where the highest number say is 102 or 103 or maybe the maximum 104. So from 100 to 104, 95 to 99, 90 to 94, 85 to 89, 80 to 85, 75 to 79, 65 to 69, 60 to 64, like this. We are to determine or we can determine the class intervals. Let us see the next slide. The class intervals need equal magnitude of setting upon the number and size of the grouping to be used in making a classification. Commonly used grouping intervals are 3, 5, 10 units in length. This is very much important, and by observing the contents you will understand so much well. If you do it 2-3 times, the concept will be quite clear. Means the distance either we may take as 3 or maybe 5 or 10 or 15, like that. If and as per the size of the total number, if we take as 3, then what will be 100 and 102. If we then 97 to 99, 94 to 96. If we take as the distance as 5, then it will be 100 and 104, 95 to 99, 90 to 94. And if we take the distance or range as 10, then it will be 100 and 109, 90 to 99, 80 to 89. So friends, the grouping may be determined either considering distance or range of 3 or class interval of 5 or class interval of 10, considering, or maybe class interval of 15, class interval of 20 range, like this, considering the total number of data. Let us see the next slide. A good rule is to select by trial a grouping unit which will yield from 5 to 15 categories. Basically, in case of our you see process of tabulation of data, we find you see from 1 to 5 or from 1 to 15, you see total intervals for the inclusion or for the tabulation of the data. Let us see the next one. In statistics, now this is what does a unit basically mean about in statistics, because we have mentioned here so much well about the term unit. And when we see the meaning of the term unit from statistical standpoint, we see that in statistics a unit is one member of a set of entities being studied. It is the main source for the mathematical abstraction of a random variable. Common examples of a unit would be a single person, animal, plant, manufactured item, or country that belongs to a large collection of such entities being studied. Means by the term unit, we may mean about person, animal, plant, manufactured item, or country. Everything else we can consider. Let us see the next slide. The only thing that should be kept in mind while constructing class intervals like 100 and 104 for a particular distribution of data is that it should fit all the values of items in such a way that the information desired should always be ready at hand. Means we must have to have the numbers, we are to see it, and thenceforth keeping in mind about the time frame within which we are to tabulate the data, we are to determine the range either maybe as 3 or maybe 5 or maybe 10. Let us go back to the next one. The limits within which a class interval lies are called class limits. If it is asked in your examination, the limits within which a class interval lies dash are called class limits. Its class has two limits. These are lower limit and upper limit. We find two limits in a class interval. One is lower limit, another is upper limit. Now here you see 100 to 104. This is the upper limit and this is the lower limit. And once we say about the class interval 100 from 100 to 104, it basically means about, you see, that this class interval includes the numbers like 100, 101, 102, 103, 104. Means by saying as 100 to 104, we mean about these numbers. This is the class interval from 100, this is the lower limit, this is the upper limit 104. This class interval means about the numbers 100, 100, 0, 100, 101, 102 means 101, 102, 103, 104 means how many scores are there in the class interval? Total 5 scores are there. So friends, the limit or range of this class interval is 5 from 100 to 104, and by saying as 100 to 104 we mean about 5 scores which are inclusive in the specific class interval 100 from 100 to 104, where the lower limit is 100 and the upper limit is 104. And by saying this way, we mean about this class interval includes 100, 101, 2, 3, 4. This is the lower limit and this is the upper limit. Means this class interval includes 5 scores. Let us see the next one. The difference between the first and second class limit is called magnitude. If it is asked to write in the examination, mention, you see, how we know or how it is called the difference between the first and the second class interval. It is called as magnitude. And the another name of magnitude is size. Means by the term magnitude we mean about size, or we mean about the extent of, you see, the extent of the volume of data. So friends, how we have or how we are to determine the class intervals, you see, what should be the range? Either it may be 3, maybe 5, maybe 10, and we have shown here so much well. If we consider 3 as the range, then what will be the class interval, and what is upper limit, what is lower limit, what is, you see, known as what is magnitude, what is class limits, what is unit. All these have well been discussed, and I hope you will see everything else so much well. And thenceforth, in the coming class, we will go to the practical solution area, particularly how to tabulate huge number of data by following statistical procedure. Thank you so much for today.